The stones felt it before he did. That was the thing nobody would have believed. That a realm of cold, ancient rock and silver veins and 3,000 years of absolute stillness would be the first to know. But stone remembers everything. Stone holds the memory of every footstep, every breath, every word spoken against it. Stone knows the difference between a presence that passes through and a presence that lands. Astrid Solberg landed. It happened gradually, the way dawn happens, the way seasons turn, the way rivers slowly reshape the banks that thought they were permanent. In the first week after her arrival, the silver veins in the eastern corridor began pulsing slightly warmer. In the second week, the wolves in the lower passages started gathering near the stairwell that led to her room each morning, sitting in patient silver rows, all waiting for the sound of her footsteps. In the third week, the small white flowers in the courtyard spread. Slowly, impossibly, pushing through stone that had not cracked in centuries. Following the paths, she walked daily like a map of everywhere she had been. The servants noticed. They said nothing. In the wolf realm, you learned very quickly that the things worth noticing were the things worth keeping to yourself. Kyle noticed. He said nothing either, but he stopped avoiding the eastern corridor, and he began, without quite deciding to, walking the same paths she walked, an hour after she had walked them, alone, in the dark. His hand occasionally brushing the warm stone walls as if reading something written there in a language he was only just remembering. He told himself it was surveillance. He was not surveilling anything, while he was following the warmth. He heard her before he saw her. He had been moving through the lower passages at dawn, his usual route, the one that took him past the wolves' quarters and through the ancient archive room and up the back stairwell to the high tower. He had walked it every morning for 3,000 years. He could have walked it with his eyes closed, had walked it with his eyes closed on the mornings when even the restrained light of the wolf realm felt like too much. He heard her voice and stopped walking. She was in the wolf quarters. He stood at the entrance and watched through the gap in the ancient doorway. She was sitting cross-legged on the stone floor with 3 of the great silver wolves arranged around her in a loose circle, one with its head in her lap, 2 pressed against her sides, and she was singing, softly. An old Midgard song, the kind that had no dramatic melody, just a quiet Nordic lilt that moved like water over stones. Her dark honey hair was loose around her shoulders. Her hand moved slowly through the fur of the wolf in her lap, with the practiced gentleness of someone who had spent years touching things that needed to be touched carefully. The wolves had their eyes closed. Kael stood at the door and felt something happen in his chest that he had absolutely no framework for. It wasn't the crack he had been feeling for weeks, that small, spreading fracture he had been ignoring. This was different. This was the crack opening. This was light coming through. It lasted only a moment. He shut it down with the practice speed of 3,000 years of practice. But it had happened. He was turning to leave, quietly, before she noticed, when the wolf in her lap opened one pale eye, looked directly at the doorway, and made a low sound. Astrid looked up. Their eyes met through the gap in the door. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Her song had stopped. The wolf in her lap made another sound, lower, more contented, and pressed its nose against her hand, as if to say, "Stay, keep singing." And Astrid looked down at it, and then back up at Kale with an expression he could not read. "I hope this is allowed," she said quietly. "They came to me. I didn't go looking for them." "It is allowed," he said. His voice came out differently than he intended, less flat. Something in it that hadn't been there before. She studied him for a moment with those gray eyes that always seemed to be seeing more than he was showing. "You can come in," she said. simply, as if inviting a god into a room where she sat on the floor with his wolves was the most natural thing in any realm. He should have said no. He should have nodded and continued his route and put more of the careful distance he had been maintaining between himself and the thing that was happening in his chest. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. He did not sit on the floor. He stood near the wall, the careful distance preserved. But he was in the room, in the warmth of it, in the impossible domestic peace of a mortal woman and 3 ancient wolves, in a realm that had not known peace in longer than most gods had existed. What was that, he said? The song. She looked down at the wolf, her hand still moving. My mother's song. She sang it when I was sick as a child. She said it was older than our village, that it came from the first Nordic women, the ones who lived so far north the sun didn't rise for months at a time. She paused. She said they sang it to remind themselves that light always came back. The silence that followed was different from the silences he was used to. It was full. Your mother, he said, carefully, the way you say something when you want more of it, but don't know how to ask. She died 2 winters ago. Astrid's voice was steady, the steadiness of someone who had made peace with a grief that would never fully leave. She was the one who taught me that love doesn't disappear when people do, that it goes into the world and stays there. She smiled, small, private, aimed at the wolf in her lap. I think about that a lot, especially here. Why especially here? He said. She looked up at him, direct, honest, the way she always looked at him, as if his ancient divinity was simply not relevant to whatever she was trying to see. Because this place lost something, she said quietly. A long time ago? I don't know what yet, but I can feel the shape of where it used to be. The wolf against his wall opened its pale eyes and looked at him. Kyle looked back at it. Then he looked at Astrid. She can feel the shape of where it used to be. 3,000 years. He had spent 3,000 years making sure nothing could feel that shape, making sure there was nothing left to find. She had been here 4 weeks. I have to continue my route, he said. His voice was flat again. The flatness was back, practiced and precise. Of course, she said. No hurt in it, no pushback, and just the simple acceptance of someone who understood that broken things needed time. He walked to the door. Kyle. He stopped, his back to her. Thank you, she said, for coming in. He didn't answer. He walked back into the corridor and stood against the cold stone wall for a long moment, pressing his scarred hand flat against it, feeling the warmth that hadn't been there a month ago. The song found him anyway, drifting through the gap in the door, soft and old and full of the particular ache of things that are beautiful because they are true. He stood there and let it, just for a moment. Just that once. Far above the wolf realm, in the golden halls of Asgard, where the light was warm and deliberate, and nothing happened without the Allfather knowing. Odin sat at his high seat. His ravens, Hugin and Munin, our thought and memory, were perched on his shoulders. They had just returned from their daily flight across the 9 realms. They always returned with information. Today they returned with something that made Odin very still in the particular way of someone who has been waiting a long time for a specific thing to begin. Tell me again, he said. Hugin ruffled his feathers and spoke in the language of divine birds, a sound like wind through old trees, like pages turning in an ancient book. Odin listened. Then he smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone moving a piece on a board that has been set up for a very long time. The smile of the inevitable arriving exactly on schedule. "So it begins," he said softly. Moonin, memory, made a lower sound, almost a warning. Odin ignored it. He reached up and smoothed the raven's feathers with one ancient hand. "He will feel everything," Odin said. 3,000 years of nothing, and then everything at once. He will not be able to control it. His one eye moved to the far window, in the direction of the wolf realm sky. "And when he cannot control it, the realm will fracture, and I will be there to collect the pieces." Moonin made the warning sound again. "She is mortal," Odin said, with the absolute dismissiveness of someone who has never fully respected the power of ordinary things. "She will not last." In the wolf realm, 3,000 feet below and a dimension away, the small white flowers spread another inch through the cold stone. Odin did not see that. He should have been watching the flowers, and it happened on a night when the wolf realm sky was doing something unusual. Astrid had noticed the sky changed sometimes. Not dramatically, not with the weather logic of Midgard skies, but with a slower, more deliberate quality, as if the sky was expressing something rather than simply existing. Most nights, it was deep charcoal gray, threaded with silver. But occasionally, on no schedule she could identify, the silver threads brightened and moved with more intention, weaving through the dark in patterns that were almost but not quite recognizable as shapes. She was in the courtyard watching it when Kale found her. She had learned by now that he moved through the realm on a route that brought him past the courtyard in the early evening. She had learned also that he had begun slowing down when he passed, not stopping, not joining her, just slowing, as if the courtyard exerted a gravity he was working against. She found it quietly, privately endearing in a way she did not examine too closely. Tonight he stopped. He stood at the courtyard entrance and looked up at the moving silver sky, and she looked at him, looking at it, and thought, not for the first time, that he was the loneliest thing she had ever seen. Not lonely the way people are lonely when they want company. Lonely the way places are lonely when they have been empty so long they have restructured themselves around the absence. "What is it doing?" she asked, meaning the sky. He was quiet for a moment. "It responds to the realm's emotional state," he said. "When something significant is happening, when something is changing, the silver moves." She looked back up at the sky, and the silver threads were moving faster tonight than she had ever seen them, weaving and unwinding in patterns that made her chest feel full of something she didn't have a name for. "What is changing?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately. She had learned that his silences were not evasions. They were the pauses of someone who had not spoken truthfully in a very long time and was relearning the mechanics of it. "I don't know yet," he said finally. It was, she understood, the most honest thing he had said to her. She moved to the side of the stone bench she was sitting on, a slight, deliberate movement, making room. He looked at the space she had made. He looked at her. He sat down. Not close, the careful distance still there, a foot of cold stone between them. But beside her, on the same bench, under the same moving silver sky, in the same courtyard where the flowers grew through the cracks of stone that had forgotten softness. They sat in silence for a long time. It was the most comfortable silence Astrid had experienced since leaving Midgard. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "You will regardless," he said. She laughed, surprised out of it, genuine and warm. She heard him go very still beside her at the sound of it, and she softened her laugh into a smile and let him have the moment of it without pressure. "Why did the realm need me specifically?" she said. "Not an offering, not any willing mortal. Me, Astrid Solberg from Eldvik." The silver sky moved overhead. "There is a mark on your wrist," he said quietly. Her hand went instinctively to her left wrist. The moonblood sigil. She had noticed it glowing more frequently lately, pulsing in the same rhythm as the realm walls, as his presence, as the flowers. "You know what it means," she said. Not a question. "Yes. Tell me." Another silence. Longer this time. She waited. She was good at waiting. Had learned it at bedsides and in sick wards and in the long, dark hours of grief. "It means," he said, with the careful precision of someone dismantling something dangerous word by word, "that you carry something the realm has been without for a very long time." "Love," she said simply. He went still beside her in a way that was different from his usual stillness. This was not the stillness of control. This was the stillness of something struck. "Yes," he said, almost inaudible. She looked at the flowers at her feet. She looked at the silver sky. She looked at her glowing wrist. "And you are afraid of it," she said. Not accusing, not pitying, just seeing him, the way she always saw him. The silence stretched between them like the space before something inevitable. "I have been afraid of very little in 3,000 years, he said. "I know," she said gently. "That's not what I asked." The silver in the sky above them blazed, just for a moment, just one breathtaking second. Brilliant and wild, and full of something ancient, recognizing something true. Then it settled back to its slower weaving. Kaio looked at his hands, scarred, old. Hands that had held weapons for millennia and had not held anything soft in longer than most worlds had existed. "Yes," he said. So quiet it was almost just breath. "I am afraid of it." Astrid looked at him, at the proud, severe profile, the cold gold eyes that were not entirely cold tonight, the 3,000 years of careful armor showing its first real cracks in the silver light. Her heart did something she had not given it permission to do. She didn't say anything else. She didn't push. She simply sat beside him in the courtyard where love had come back to grow through stone, and let the evening be what it was. An ending of something, a beginning of something else. Neither of them moved until the silver sky finally stilled. It was the blood moon that did it. Every realm in the 9 realms had its own version of the blood moon. The night when the divine cosmic order tilted slightly, when the boundaries between what was controlled and what was true became permeable. In Midgard, it was simply a red moon, beautiful and slightly unsettling. In Asgard, it was a formal event, managed with ceremony and protocol. In the wolf realm, it was something else entirely. Astrid woke to the sound of the wolves, not their usual silence, their sudden, collective, full-throated howling, rising from the lower passages through the stone floors and walls and filling her room with a sound so ancient and so full of feeling, it brought tears to her eyes before she was fully awake. She sat up in the dark of her room, and the walls were blazing. The silver veins lit up like lightning frozen in stone, brighter than she had ever seen them, pulsing fast and urgent. She went to her window. The sky was red, deep, burning red, not the red of blood, but the red of something internal, something that lives behind the eyes when they are closed. The silver threads were gone, and the entire sky was that deep, impossible red, and it moved, slowly, breathing, like something alive and barely contained. She heard him before she saw him. A sound from the courtyard below, not a human sound, not entirely. Something between a human voice and something much older and much larger. A sound of pure, uncontrolled feeling, rage and grief, and 3,000 years of everything that had been locked away, straining against its locks all at once. She ran. She didn't think about it. Her feet were moving before her mind caught up. Down the corridor, down the stairwell, through the eastern passage, and into the courtyard. The red sky blazing above her, and the silver flowers incandescent at her feet. He was in the center of the courtyard. Changed. Not fully. Not the complete shift she would later learn was possible. Something between. His eyes were fully gold now, blazing, not cold, burning. And his hands were... She made herself look, made herself not flinch, not entirely hands anymore. The scarring on them blazed silver. His shoulders were shaking with the effort of holding something enormous inside a form too small for it. 3,000 years of feeling nothing. And the blood moon had cracked the door. Everything was trying to come through at once. He hadn't seen her yet. His head was down, his breathing ragged. The breathing of someone fighting a war entirely inside themselves. The wolves from the lower passages had gathered at the courtyard edges, sitting in their silent rows, pale eyes reflecting the red sky, watching their god come apart at the seams with the patient sorrow of creatures who had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Astrid walked toward him. One of the wolves made a low sound, not warning her away, clearing a path. She walked until she was 3 feet away, then 2, then 1. "Kyle," she said. His head came up. Those blazing gold eyes found her face, and the wildness in them was terrifying and heartbreaking in equal measure. The look of something that has forgotten what it is to be seen and is not sure it can survive being seen now. "You should leave," he said. His voice was fractured. Multiple registers at once, the god and the wolf and the 3,000 years all speaking simultaneously. I am not, I know," she said. She reached out. She pressed her hand flat against his chest, over his heart. He went absolutely still. Under her palm she felt it, his heartbeat, ragged, enormous. The heartbeat of something that had been beating alone in the dark for 3 millennia and had just, in this moment, felt another heartbeat against it. The blazing in his eyes didn't dim, but it changed. The wildness in it shifted from drowning to something else. Something that was finding, in the middle of the flood, something to hold on to. "I have you," she said quietly. Not a romantic declaration, not a promise beyond this moment. Simply, the truth of a healer who had sat with 100 people in 100 different kinds of pain and knew that sometimes the only medicine was, "I am here, and I am not leaving." "I have you," she said again. He made a sound she would never forget for the rest of her life. It was the sound of something that has been alone for 3,000 years, being told it doesn't have to be anymore. And he didn't reach for her. He stood with her hand on his chest and the red sky blazing above them, and the wolves watching from the edges, and 3,000 years of locked away feeling moving through him like a tide. And he wept. Not the way people weep when they are sad. The way people weep when something they had stopped believing in turns out to be real. Astrid stood in the red light of the blood moon and kept her hand on his heart and let him. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She stayed. That was all. That was everything. The blood moon faded toward dawn. The red bled slowly out of the sky, replaced by the wolf realm's usual deep charcoal gray, the silver threads returning one by one like stars coming out after a storm. The wolves had gone back to their passages somewhere in the night, when the silver veins in the courtyard walls had quieted to their usual slow pulse. Astrid was sitting on the stone bench with her knees pulled to her chest and her cloak wrapped around her shoulders and her eyes on the horizon when Kale came back into the courtyard. He had composed himself. The careful stillness was back, but different now. Thinner, like a coat worn over something that was no longer entirely contained by it. His eyes were cold gold again, but she'd seen what lived behind the cold, and she could not unsee it. He sat down beside her, closer than before. The careful foot of distance between them had become 6 inches. Neither of them remarked on it. "I owe you an explanation," he said. "You owe me several," she said without heat. The ghost of something moved across his face. It was so brief she almost missed it, but she was watching carefully, and she did not miss it. It was almost a smile. "Odin cursed me," he said, 3,000 years ago. I refused an order. He wanted a mortal village destroyed. I refused. He stripped me of my emotions and made me guardian of this realm. The curse was designed to be permanent. He paused. He believed it was permanent. Astrid was quiet, letting him find his way through it. "The mark on your wrist," he continued. "The Moonblood Sigil. It is written in the oldest prophecy of the 9 realms. The Varginja, the one who carries the mark, is the only soul whose presence can break the curse." He looked at his hands. "Your love, freely present, not forced, not weaponized, simply real. It is the only key." "And Odin knows this," she said. "Yes. He sent me here." "Yes." She was quiet for a moment. "I'm processing." She had suspected it, had been turning the pieces over in her mind for weeks. But hearing it plainly still landed with weight. "He wants the curse broken," she said slowly, thinking aloud. "But why? If the curse is what keeps you controlled, he doesn't want it broken," Kale said. His voice was even. "The prophecy has 2 outcomes. The Varginja's love, freely given, restores the wolf god. But the same love, withheld or turned to wound, destroys him entirely." He paused. "Odin sent you here to destroy me." The courtyard was very quiet. Astrid looked at the small white flowers at her feet. She looked at her glowing wrist. She looked at the man beside her, the god, the wolf, the 3,000 years of careful survival, and felt something move through her with the quiet force of deep water. "He made a mistake," she said. Kale looked at her. "He sent me here thinking love was a weapon," she said simply. "It isn't. It never was." She met his gold eyes directly. "I'm not going to destroy you, Kale. You don't know what you are promising," he said carefully. "The closer this becomes, the more I feel, the more dangerous the situation with Odin grows. He will not stay patient. When he sees the curse breaking, he will act." "I know," she said. "You could be hurt. I know that too. You are mortal," he said. And there was something raw in it. Something that had not been in his voice 3,000 years ago when the word mortal would have meant simply temporary, inconsequential, passing. Now it meant something else. Now it meant fragile, precious, the thing I cannot afford to lose. Astrid heard all of that in the single word. She reached over and placed her hand over his scarred ones, where they rested on his knee. He looked down at her hand on his. He didn't pull away. "My mother told me," Astrid said quietly, "that love was never the thing that put people in danger. She said what puts people in danger is a world that doesn't understand love's value." She paused. "Odin doesn't understand it. That is his weakness, not ours." Kyle looked at their hands. He turned his slowly, carefully. with the deliberateness of someone performing an action they have thought about for weeks, and held hers. His hand was large and scarred and had held weapons for 3,000 years. Hers was small and herb-stained and had held the dying and the healing and everything in between. They fit together with the quiet ease of things that were always supposed to. Above them, the silver sky moved gently. The flowers at their feet opened wider than they had ever opened. And in Asgard, far above, a raven landed on Odin's shoulder and spoke. Odin's single eye went very still, then very cold. "Accelerate the plan," he said quietly.